Because the Nigerian government has talked about diversifying its economy and trying to attract foreign direct investment. Now, the Australian companies coming in, besides just coming to mine the products, what are the other plans that the Australian government is looking to bring into bear on the Nigerian economy?
The other plans?
Yes. Besides just mining the materials and taking them out, what other plans are there by the Australian companies?
Well, I mean, essentially that's what happens in Australia. We have some processing in Australia, and it really depends on the economics. At the moment, for example, iron ore is mainly crushed and sent to places like China. Our iron ore and our steel industry could no longer compete for basic mass-produced steel products with China. So our steel industry has contracted. Some others, like aluminium, you do make in Australia. So most companies are focused on mining and extraction, either for export or maybe for domestic use. I think some companies may be looking at options here for local production, but I mean that really depends on the commercial proposition. It's not something we as a government would direct.
But would the Australian government be encouraging their companies to set up processing plants within the Nigerian space?
If they believe it will work in terms of the economic and regulatory conditions, but it's not something that we take a particular view on. And as I say, it's this is a bit of an issue around the world whether value adding has to take place in country, because if it's not an economic proposition, then you won't get the investment in the first place. So, and that's happened in some countries where they've tried to raise the bar for investment. And mining sounds a simple thing, just digging stuff out of the ground, but it's actually a highly scientific and technical process to assess an ore body, to assess economically how it will work as a commercial proposition, to get the right technology in and plant in to mine it, and then get it to port and all of that. It's a highly technical industry. So I think we have two or half of two of the biggest three mining companies in the world out of Australia, and that's really what they do. They don't do much in the way of actual processing of metals.
Australians, you talked about education. You have some of the finest institutions in the world in Australia. You talked about mining in Australia, the economy, but the arts, for instance, the Sydney Opera House. I mean, it's a remarkable building. What goes on there is remarkable. Would your government be looking at the arts in Nigeria, to how to tie getting involved in the arts in Nigeria? Well,
not so much in Nigeria. I mean, what our governments try to do is project our own arts and culture around the world to where we can, and foster cultural ties and links. It's interesting, we've had some discussion recently about Australia, a couple of Australian artists whose parents are Nigerian, and they've actually had real popularity, success in Australia in things like the equivalent to, I think you know these shows that they have around the world, The Voice or The X Factor, or you have American Idol and British Idol, we have Australian Idol. So these Nigerian Australians, or they're Australians of Nigerian background, have done quite well. So we've had a couple of conversations with the parents and indirectly with the young people themselves, the singers, how we could bring them here and maybe interact and get involved in the vibrant music scene you have here. So that's the sort of thing we can do. Or we can't really mount. Our government doesn't run to mounting big operas internationally, but sometimes our we have touring performers. I think one of the things we've tried to do here is show some Australian films occasionally, and hope to do more of that next year, including in Lagos.
I'll take it that, well, you're more or less, well, I think it's safe to call you now an African, because that's not the first time you've been dealing with African affairs, even while in London, and you've been in Ghana and now Nigeria. Looking more about Nigeria now, talking more about Nigeria, what is that thing that you would say that has made all the difference to say this is truly a place for me to come as the High Commissioner?
Well, it's hard to avoid stating the obvious here, that Nigeria is the biggest country with some of the biggest potential and biggest challenges that you all know. But for a diplomat, it's been very exciting to be there at a time where you see these challenges of development, not just economic development, but institutional, political development, in a very diverse country which has been given a relatively short time in history, if you look at other countries, to bring a range of diverse peoples, ethnic groups together under one, within one set of borders, and forge institutions without a great head start, as it were, in terms of the material and institutional foundations at the very beginning. So that's seeing that process and seeing how it's gone, particularly with the elections this year and a peaceful transition and strong commitment by the new administration to tackle some of the challenges. That's been a very positive thing to observe, very encouraging in that sense.
Well, some of our viewers are definitely very interested in the education fair. Quite a number of them say Abuja will also be a good venue as well. Are you planning to do one in Abuja as well?
No, it's definitely on our mind. For various reasons, we couldn't stage it in Abuja as well. That was always part of the thinking, and I won't go into the background of that. But I'm very sure that the next time we have it, we'll try to have it in more than one centre, maybe more than two. But no, Abuja's been very much on our mind, but it just wasn't possible this time. The universities, I think this is as an initial adventure or initial venture, it was most practical to get the universities to come here to the biggest city in the first instance.
Okay, that's on the one hand. Then they also want to know how easy it is to get an Australian visa.
Well, I think it's for others to judge and compare. It depends. Yeah, I mean, student visas are all processed. If people are genuine students, able to meet the academic criteria, there's some financial criteria usually in being able to afford the fees if you're self-funded, then it's usually people are very much welcome.
Are they issued here? Because someone is mentioning something about them being issued in South Africa. Is that right?
No, we have people apply here, and they can also just apply for certain visas. You can apply online. You do have to get biometrics done at a visa application centre. People may be familiar with Teleperformance. It's a bit like VFS. So we also use that VFS centre, but we do have a regional. We have a slightly different model than some countries. So we do have a regional hub for our visa processing for African countries in South Africa, but those people also come here for specific interviews, and we in our High Commission, although we don't have their immigration department there, we liaise very closely to help ensure that people we know are going to Australia are treated appropriately.
What would you say in the end will be the ultimate goal of Nigeria-Australia bilateral relations?
Well, I think any bilateral relations need to be multifaceted, and I think we really took the simple answer is that we want to build on what we've started. Over the last few years, the relationship has grown and moved forward in a number of different directions. We've strengthened our political dialogue. We've now got regular ministry-to-ministry talks between the two foreign ministries and related international ministries. We had a visit by President Jonathan to Australia immediately after his visit for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting 4 years ago. I mentioned the range of activities on the economic side. We have a number of companies there, particularly in the field of infrastructure, engineering, construction. Our development cooperation has also expanded over the last few years, particularly development scholarships and training, capacity building. And we've also done some work with the Nigerian government, deepened our level of dialogue and cooperation on, broadly speaking, counter-terrorism issues, mainly in the field of countering violent extremism and radicalisation, which is a common interest. And we've also talked a bit about the people-to-people ties. So I think these are all the main areas, and culture as well, that we'd like to just keep building upon and strengthening.
Well, a good moment speaking with you today, but very quickly before we go, Nigerians will love to know the timing for the event today. What time are you meeting with them?
Well, the universities will be there at the exhibition to talk to any interested students, parents, anyone who's interested, from 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock at the Echo Hotel on Victoria Island today, and the same timing, 10 to 5.
On Saturday, tomorrow.
Saturday, tomorrow, at the Ikeja Sheraton Hotel.
You speak French and Russian, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I used to speak...
Have you started thinking of having one Nigerian language?
But I would hate to offend anyone by choosing one over the others. So.
No.
Do you speak Pidgin?
I haven't really tried. Sometimes I listen, but I haven't really picked it up. I confess I should.
You should be able to understand.
I should work a bit harder. Yeah.
His Excellency Jon Richardson, Australian High Commissioner to Nigeria, many thanks for spending time with us this morning.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.